Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Life Interview. Today I have Teagan. Thanks for jumping on. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All good. I'm excited for this one because I've been recommended it. I'm excited to have a chat and find out a bit more about you.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So let's jump straight into it. I always go into the first part of childhood. So tell me a little bit more about your childhood. Where did you grow up? What was it like?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Sydney. My parents, I was born in Blacktown, Sydney. I think it's not the best maybe area. Um, and I have three siblings. So I have three brothers. I'm the only girl. Have an older brother and then two younger brothers. So I'm like basically in the middle, but moved to Perth when I was one. So yeah, I think mum and dad just thought like, you know, we could have a better life over here and like kind of like let's make that decision. And then yeah, now that I think it's crazy that they did that, but it's so cool as well.
Yeah.
Um, to move when you've got family over there and hardly any family over here, and to go and move I think is huge. But yeah,
Yeah.
so glad that they did because yeah, we have a really good life over here. So
Nice. And are your parents, were they born in Sydney?
yes, they were. Yeah. So most of my dad's family is actually over there. Um,
Okay.
and my mum, but then my nan ended up moving over here. And then that was part of the reason why they were like, let's go check out Perth. And then they loved it. So then they were like, let's go. And I think half of my dad's family in Sydney were a bit like bummed because, they just had two kids and then they're off.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, now I'm like, that's insane, but also very, very cool and very brave of them. So, yeah. And then my other two brothers were born over here. So, yeah.
Okay. Nice. And yeah, what were your parents like? What are they like? What do you remember from your childhood?
Yeah, I just remember my mum and dad just always being around, but at the same time, my dad worked really, really hard. He worked two jobs for as long as I can remember. We used to get told basically to not tell people that he worked two jobs because essentially he would go to work during the day and then he would come home. We used to have to be quiet. Like at certain times of the afternoon, he'd wake up, he'd have dinner with us, and then he would either go back to bed or then like basically then he'd go and work a night job as well and then get home at 3 a.m. and then go to sleep. And then, so it wasn't enough. Yeah, it wasn't enough
Jeez.
sleep time essentially to legally be driving a truck or doing things that so we were like told at school like you don't tell anyone about this other job. And it was just he just would deliver newspapers at night. But it was now again looking at that, I'm like, that's because they couldn't afford to not do that. Like, when you're a kid, you don't really realize that you're like, oh yeah, that's the job. But then now I'm like, they did, like dad did that because, and he did that for about 30 years. So
Whoa.
yeah, huge. And just to think like, it was that security, it was his casual job and took him a lot to give it up because he was like they'd always relied on that kind of second job. So, and then my
Yeah.
mum was the same. Mum would work as well. So, but we were never put in daycare or anything like that. Like mum was around, and yeah, we had a really good childhood. My brothers and I get along, always have.
Mm.
Physical fighting with brothers, but would still, yeah, got along and still do now to this day. We're all very, very close. So I actually feel very lucky
Nice.
for that. Yeah.
What's the age gap between you and your brothers?
So oh God, now you're testing me. So my oldest brother, it's 2 years, and we're actually
Okay.
quite close. I'm like we're all very close, but I feel like I'm very close with my older brother, and maybe that's also because he has children and I have a child. And
Okay.
then my two younger brothers, it's like 3 years, and then it's I think 2 years between them too. So, but I think the youngest is about to turn 30, I think. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
36 this year, and then yeah, the oldest is 38. So yeah.
Nice. And you're still really close now?
Yes, still really close. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Nice.
good. I feel again like lucky to have that because when I see people where fall out with their siblings or, there's always family drama in people's lives, right? I mean, my family
Yeah.
is excluded from that, the extended family and everything, but our family unit has always been great and I feel very, very lucky for that.
Nice. What
Yeah.
would you say you learned from your parents as a kid?
Probably just like hard work. Like, I don't know. I feel like it was drilled into us. Like even now, like we never take a sick day unless we're sick, or just like not like and not like yes, mental health days and things like that. Like not like you must work, but just like I don't know that probably massive from like my dad in particular. Just a good work ethic, and then otherwise just like being kind. I think my parents have just I've always just they're very very kind people, and I would like to think that I've got that from them, and I feel like I'm a kind person. Sometimes
Mm,
I feel like that's not always a good thing. I feel like I'm a bit of a people pleaser. Maybe my parents are the same, but that's not. I don't think that's a bad thing all the time. But I definitely think I got that from them for sure. And I look at my brothers the same. Like I feel like we all have a part of us that looks like maybe people could walk over us in certain situations because we're just kind people, I'd like to think. But yeah,
mm.
definitely think we got that from our parents for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. Because was having a similar situation. I was talking to my wife about it as well, and I was like, I sometimes feel bad for like sometimes when I have to stand my grounds, and I'm like, I just feel like maybe I could be a little bit too nice sometimes. I don't know if you
No,
experience
it's
the
kind of,
same.
I feel like it's a good thing and a bad thing. I like to think that I
Mm,
feel like I like that people would say that they think I'm a nice person, but I would not like to think that they think they could do whatever they want to me because I'm a nice person. So it's like this fine,
yeah.
like I've got like that fight in me, but also, um, I don't know, I don't like conflict. And so it's like all
Mm,
of that doesn't help when you're also a people pleaser. So
yeah. Were
yeah.
your parent? Did you feel like your parents were ever taken advantage of because of that?
Not necessarily, but I look at some like of their friendships over the years, and I'd probably say like like they were very kind in those situations where I'm like, why didn't you say something, or but no, I wouldn't say they were taken advantage of. I would say they're
Mm,
just kind people, and I think I would rather be who they are and how they have been, as opposed to where you would look back and be like, oh, they weren't very nice or whatever. But no, I don't feel like they were
yeah.
taken advantage of. Yeah.
Do you still? I find this really interesting. Do you still feel the same way how you were? How can I explain? How can I ask this properly? About my brain's like I have all these questions in my head. I'm like, oh my god, I got so many
Yeah,
questions.
yeah,
Do you feel the way that you felt as a kid about your parents than what you do now? Because I know when I've spoken to people in the past, there's this difference and they feel different now to how they did when they were a kid.
yeah. No, I think I don't know. I always thought I don't know. It just felt like we are very like I always wanted to be at home. Like if I wanted to have a day off school, it was because I was like I just wanted to be at home with my mum or like just homebody. Loved like I don't know, just a very homely kind of environment. Even now, my mum and dad's home. It's like it's the home. It's the home that people want to come to. It's like a very open door kind of home.
Yeah.
Um, and like, do I just feel that way because it was my home, or but I feel like everyone feels that way. Like people will just come over and it's just like a hangout place. Like it's just a very open door home. And it was
Nice.
like that when we were kids. Like the neighbours used to be at our house at 6 a.m. on Christmas Day and we hadn't finished opening our presents and they
Hmm,
were at our house, but it was very open, and then it's still the same now. And I love that. So yeah,
that's really nice.
yeah,
That's really cool. We were just talking before this, but my best mate, I've talked about him before, but I would go over to his parents' house, and even if he wasn't there, they're like, "He's
yeah.
not here, but like we've just made some dinner, so you might as well stay." I'm like, "Okay, it sounds like
I
similar."
know, I love that. And I think like I would love to have that, but I feel like, times change, don't they? Like it's so different. But yeah, like my good friends who would come over at like 6 a.m. and be at our house, they, we're still friends with them now. So it's just funny. And we like often talk about like on Mondays when we were younger, like Mondays were quiet days. So like we weren't allowed to
Mm.
play with anyone because the weekend was just chaotic. And the Mondays were like the start of a week. So we used to say, they'd come and knock at the door and we'd say, sorry, we're having a quiet day. And sometimes we would pretend we were having quiet days on other days because we just wanted to stay home and not see anyone. And which is so mean as well to be like, oh, sorry, I can't play. We're having a quiet day. Mum's like, no, we're not.
Yeah,
But like, that's we were just homebodies,
yeah, nice. Do you so you're close enough to be at home where you can because I'm obviously I'm live the other side of the world, and I
Yeah,
always keep talking about I want to reminisce, like I want to one day when I go visit home, I want to walk to school again. I know that sounds really weird, but
No,
I
I
just
love
want to
that
do it again.
nostalgic feeling is so good. I mean, I'm living in the same place I was essentially like grew up, but I would love to go visit my old primary school. Like, you know, it's all
Yeah,
fenced, I can't go in there, but I'm like, I'd love to walk around. Like, so yeah, it would
yeah,
be as just a different, you know, you have different eyes, don't you? So like even now, like I'm a mum now, and I look at what my parents did so differently because now I'm, you know, I'm their age at that, you know, and it's wild to think like you just appreciate things in a different light, I think, as you get older, which is a good thing.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. Everything seems smaller as well. When I go back to visit old places, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I thought this was really big, and now it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Even food, right? Like food, you're like, this was way bigger or tasted way better. And it's
Yeah,
like, nah, did it? Or is
t-
it?
the
Yeah.
taste. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you ever lived like in a different city or state?
No, I haven't. Obviously, I was born in Sydney, but then moved here when I was one, so that doesn't really count. I feel
Mm,
like, again, and maybe it's I feel like I'm a homebody. I've traveled a bit, but there's never really been many places where I could say, oh, I could live here. And so
yeah,
when I know people like obviously Kim and when they lived in London and like that, I love that they could do something like that because I just feel like I could never. And like obviously, you know, everyone, you know, obviously I think you've moved as well, haven't you? Like you obviously
yeah,
miss your family. That's standard. And I know that that would be the biggest thing. But I don't know, I'm a comfort girl. And I think like, and I also love Perth. People dodge it all the time, but I don't know. I think I love it and I like everything about it. I would never say never, but now that I've got a daughter, that makes it harder. But
yeah.
yeah, I've just never really gone somewhere and gone, I would love to live here. You know, like I think it's,
Mm.
yeah.
We,
Besides,
I, you're gonna hate me for Teagan, but I've never been to Perth, and I feel bad for saying that because I've been here 10 years, and I should have visited at least
are you
once
in Sydney or are you in Melbourne?
in Sydney. Yeah.
Sydney, yeah.
So, but
Oh
I,
my gosh,
I
I'm
w- definitely will.
yeah.
I promise I will. But there's so many people who have moved from the UK or Ireland, and they lived in Sydney and they've just gone to Perth because
Yeah.
just that little bit closer. I know it's not a huge difference, but it
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
um, and it looks stunning. So yeah, I
It's so
definitely need
again,
to.
like, I mean, maybe the people that kind of knock it are the people that then go to live in Melbourne or Sydney because there's that, you know, it's a bit more fast paced and obviously that probably depends on so many factors in your life and where you're at and everything. But I think it's just such a family kind of feel, but also I don't know, I feel like it's got everything. So and I love it. Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
tell people all the time, I'm like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I definitely have to come and visit at some
Yeah.
point. And how was school? Did you have friends? Did you have a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
friend
school's
group? Or
good.
small?
I remember saying that everyone always said like once you leave school, like you'll miss it, and nope, never missed it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I liked to see my friends. I like look back now and I'm like, oh man, to think that I would stress. Like I remember having like crying at the dinner table because I couldn't do like a maths thing or like a test that was due and I hadn't done homework and stuff like that. Now I'm like, oh my God, I wish like I could tell myself like it's not a big deal. Like, but at that time, obviously in your life, it's a big deal. I think I'd say I definitely tried at school, but I was never like excelling or top of class or I feel like I was quite average, but not in maths was terrible, like the worst. Still now, I'm like absolute worst. I remember the teachers being like, "You won't have a calculator on you when you're older." I'm like, well, we do. but, yeah, no, I did enjoy school. I just wouldn't say I like loved it. Like, yeah, and I
Yeah.
never missed it. So, yeah.
So I find that interesting. So how do you like to learn now? Are you sit in front of a computer or a presentation and someone can actually teach you, and you like school, or are you like a give me the task, I'll give it a go,
Yeah,
and I'll
I'm
make
more like
mistakes and I'll learn
hands-on.
from it?
I feel like with anything as well, like I mean, I never went to uni or anything like that, but I feel like even, you know, if you go like a surgeon, right, like that they could be so book smart and have learned and studied and done all that, but can they speak to a human being and can they, you know, like there's that part of it, right? But then for me, yeah, learning, I'd say I would be like, even at my job now, it's like, yeah, show me it. And then
Yeah.
I'll take notes on that. And then I'll learn from physically just doing it because I don't know, you can kind of tell someone what to do. But
Yeah.
then until they're doing it, that's when they're going to learn, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I call it the street smart. Like you've got
Yeah.
people don't have the street smart. So
Yeah.
what do you do? What's your occupation?
So I'm just an admin. So I work for a car dealership. So I work for Audi.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually been there, oh my gosh, I think it's like, it's a 15, 16 years I think I've been there,
Wow.
which is a long
Would you
time.
ever go into sales? Because you're obviously a good conversationalist.
No, I don't think I could. First of all, the hours are terrible. Like there's so many
Oh
hours.
yeah.
Um, no, I don't know. I don't think so. I like I like when I can go upstairs and then not see anybody. I like the
Yeah.
um Yeah, and there's like, there's part of me, like, 'cause I've thought about it before with my job. Like, obviously, I've been there so long, and there's part of me that's
Mm.
very like, again, I'm a comfort girl. I like my comfort, and maybe that's not always a good thing because I haven't maybe pushed myself to have change because change is scary for anyone, obviously. But I
Yeah.
genuinely do like my job. I probably like it more now that I'm part time, but I like my job. I like the people I work with. I enjoy the fact that I can go to work, go home, and I'm not stressed about my job. Yeah, I enjoy it. And obviously I've been there that long. Like there must be something good about it. Like I don't know. Yeah, I think if I enjoy it, I enjoy the people I work for, the people I work with, and what I do. And I feel like I'm in a good situation of like where I don't dread going to work, but also I have my work and I have my mum, like I'm a mum. So I'm like, I can do both and I can enjoy that and I can enjoy that. And I
Mm.
don't stress about either one when I'm, somewhere else. So yeah, I
Nice.
feel like I'm in a
Yeah.
good
Nice.
balancing act. Yeah.
If you're I mean, if you're turning up to work and you're like, yeah, I like this, then you're into a winner. It doesn't matter what it
Yeah, I
is.
think
So
so. That's what I think. Like, like I said, I never went to uni and there was part of me that was like always like, oh, should I have done something? Or I just never knew what I wanted to do. And I mean, I still joke now, like, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But I think just having a good balance of life. Like I feel like I enjoy my life. I enjoy where I'm at and there's nothing wrong with like it not being a career as such. I think like, there's always I mean, I say that, but then I would love for my daughter to maybe go to uni and I would love for her to like, have a career. But then I think that's just because that's what we all get driven into us.
mm,
Um, I wouldn't say like I regret not going because even still now I wouldn't know what I would want to study. And I could still study if I wanted to now. But again, there's still nothing that I'm like ever 100% about that would make me go and do that.
yeah.
So yeah.
We live in a society that we're just always told to like upgrade or the grass is all always go
Yeah.
for the next thing. And
Yeah.
like even you look at phones, like there's always the latest phone, or like I'm a runner, so the latest running shoes, like it's every single month that
Me as well. I'm also running, so and it
yes,
gets
we need to
right.
talk about this.
Yes. I also think I need the newest phone and I think I need the newest thing. But
You don't. Yeah, like sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. And I know it's very hard to we're brought up in a world that is, everything you got to have quick and fast and now and the latest. But I think when you start to realize, okay, maybe not. Like maybe I will go for them end of like clearance running shoes because they're just the same as they were 6 months ago.
yeah, yeah, that's
But
so
yeah,
true.
it's it's definitely something to think about. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, yeah, why fix it
That's what I think.
if
I
it
think
isn't
if
broke?
I don't enjoy it, then I would look for something else. But I think, and maybe it's also because now I am a mum as well, but I just feel like I'm in the best situation. It's a great balance between work life and home life, so yeah.
Yeah, nice. And did you have any influences as a kid or any significant people in your life?
Oh, I'd probably say my mum and dad, honestly. I know it's probably a cliche, but I just think they're the best people in my life. And I just think like, knowing that I looked up to them being kind and things like that. And I'd like to think that I am who I am and that my brothers are who they are and because of them. So I'd say that. Otherwise, like, nah, I don't think so. Not really. Even now, there's not really, celebrities or influencers that I'd say like, oh, like there's certain people that are definitely aspiring and like, I don't know, there's not anyone in particular, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not cliche at all. I think it's lovely that you look up to your parents. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice. And because I do think as well, like you may disagree, but parents create a world sometimes and that they want you to think that's all perfect and all okay. Um, so it's hard to then when you get to turn into an adult and you're like, oh shit, like it's
Yeah,
actually, there are stuff what happens, but I think if your parents can manage that and actually set a clear expectation of what life really is, I think you're going to form that really close bond. And it sounds like you had that.
for sure. And I think like again, getting as we get older and then just having like a whole different appreciation, you know, you have the same conversations, but then you're like having them older and you're like, wait, you got married at this age or you did that at this, like, and to think like, oh, where were they at where I'm at now? And it's wild because it's like, you know, they're living this life for the first time too, yet you think that they just know everything and, you know, but they don't necessarily. It's just,
Mm,
you know, they're going through it all as well. So yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
And I'm sure you're, like you said, I'd love to talk more about it, but later on. But I'm sure you kind of, when you became a mum, you were like, oh my God, what do I do? And
Yeah.
you probably then realized, okay, we just kind of wing it
Yeah,
and hope for the
exactly.
best.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And what did you think life would be like as an adult? What did you think you would be?
I think I had always wanted to be a mum. Like sounds again probably cliche, but I was like, yep, cool. My parents have been together forever. Um, I wanted to be with someone and be with them for a long time, be married and be a mum. That was kind of like my goal. Have a home, do all those like tick those box things, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I wanted all of that. So yeah, that was kind of yeah.
Nice. And what did you do most as a kid?
What did I do most? Gosh, play with my brothers a lot.
Yeah.
We were right into wrestling. We would wrestle. I would play Barbies, and then they would play Barbies with me. Well, actually, they would play Power Rangers. So they would have the Power Rangers. I'd have the Barbies. But oh my God, I played Barbies up until I was in year 8, and I remember specifically saying to a friend that I was playing with, I was like, we can't tell people, like it's not cool. We're in year 8, you know. And now I look and I'm like, oh my God, year 8's now. There's no way they're playing with Barbies still, you know.
Mm.
But I love that was my childhood, you know. I felt like I was definitely a kid. Yeah, I loved.
Were you in?
Feel like I was naughty when I was like that 7, 8, 9, like quite manipulative. I felt like I was quite naughty. I like to think I was a good teenager though, so I feel like there's a good balance there with being a better teenager, but being a little bit like I blame my brothers for everything, and you know maybe being the only girl I got away with it too. So
That's cool. And were you an outdoor kid?
yeah, we used to play. Gosh, we our house where we lived was like right near a cul-de-sac. So we would play in the cul-de-sac constantly and then we'd come back to our house. It was like, you know, when the street lights come on, you come home, that kind of vibe. Um,
Cool.
so we were, yeah, always outside, always at certain friends' houses, in and out, you know. And then our house was one of those houses too, open door, like, you know, just it doesn't happen these days. But it's
No.
yeah, yeah, it
Well,
was
now, like, yeah, I always think about this, like kids they would text or message or like Facebook message each other now, where you would have to bike over to the house, knock on the door, the mum or
all
dad answering, you're like,
phone.
is Jack coming out to
Yeah.
play?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I think like,
Uh,
you know, I feel very lucky that I grew up in that time before all of social media and then like we still had like the MSN Messenger and that kind of, you know, MySpace was coming and things like that. So we kind of grew up with a bit of that, but majority of like my childhood was definitely outside and yeah, just I think just I have the best memories of that. So
nice. And it sounds like you had a happy childhood and
yeah,
it sounds
definitely.
like it was
Really, really
really
happy.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nah, really good.
Nice. So let's move on to significant moments. So what would you say was your first big failure in life?
I don't know. I don't like again, cliche, but I don't feel like I look at things as a big failure, or just a failure in general. I'd like to think
Mm,
anything that's happened, I guess, in my life isn't a fail. So I don't know. I mean, I was married and now I'm divorced. So maybe people would look at that like, that was a failed marriage, but I still don't look at it like that.
Good.
Yeah, I just don't think I think of things as a failure. Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
just, yeah.
What about a big decision or a big moment in your life?
Probably leaving my marriage. Yeah, I think that would be probably the biggest one. I mean, like, long story short, but essentially I was with my partner since we were 15. We were married, oh my gosh, what were you? Oh, actually, we were married 8 years ago today. So,
Oh,
uh, yeah. So whatever age I was then. And we were together a long time. Like he was my first and only ever boyfriend, the first person I'd ever kissed. Um, and yeah, we were together for a long, long time. I would say some people would say maybe like I didn't necessarily like it wasn't my choice to leave because I was cheated on. But I feel like I still had like a decision in that. Like I had the choice to either go back to that and continue that and try to work on that, and I chose not to. I just feel like, and that's a huge decision. In a way, it was kind of taken away from me. Like in a way, it wasn't a decision. It was like it was made up. That happened, and that's the way my life is now going. But I still feel like I made a decision by not going back when I had the opportunity to. And I think massively the reason was because, we have a daughter and I'm a role model. And what would I say to her in that situation? What would I say to a friend in that situation? And so I just think like that was probably the biggest decision making thing for me in that was because like first of all, you don't put up with that, but also what would I tell our daughter, if she was in that situation? So yeah.
mm. And so when did that happen?
That happened so our daughter was born in 22 and that
Mhm.
happened probably, and so she was born at the start of 22 and I'd say it happened end of 22, essentially fully split all happened in the very beginning of like 23, 2023.
Did
So
you did you know the other person?
no, it was a work colleague, so the cliche work colleague. But yeah, it was a weird situation looking back. Like I'll tell anyone, you trust your gut. Like if there's something up or you think like, I mean, again, people say that, right? But and like I was very, very secure in my relationship.
Mm.
We'd been together for so long. We were the best of friends. There was nothing. I mean, yes, we just had a baby, but our relationship was great. Like I thought great, I think it was an attention type of thing, and then it just kept going basically. But yeah, if you forever trust your gut, I think that was a big thing for me. Um, I knew, and then when I really knew and it all kind of came about, it made me actually feel better because I think for a few months I thought I was crazy and it was turning me into a crazy person. I was never someone who didn't trust, and I was never someone who felt like I had to check a phone. Like I just feel like if you're at that point, like I was going insane. And I think now looking back, I'm like, when it all kind of came about, and it was all like, yes, this is it, this has happened, and I was right. I just felt better because I was just like, oh, thank God, I'm not a crazy person when I
Mm.
knew it wasn't, but it just made me feel better, like a weight off my shoulders because it was like, okay, now I know. And then it was, okay, what happens now? So, which was definitely scary. It was,
Yeah.
like I said, we had a house together, a baby, obviously. I'd only ever known my whole life to be with him. So in that moment to be like, what happens now? And do I want to continue this or, and then when people start knowing and it being a bigger thing, yeah, scary.
Yeah. So you obviously you had like ideas and intuition that something was going on. How long did that last for?
Um, honestly, probably as long as they had worked together. I think I just, again, I was very trustworthy. I'd say 6 months or more, maybe even longer.
Mm,
Um, I was very trustworthy. I was very like, it's fine. But then I was like, oh, you know, you don't need to message every day. Or I don't know. There was a lot that was just like, I'm fine. I'm just because someone has a vagina doesn't mean that like, I need to be like, it's fine. That's not an issue.
yeah,
Your friend that has a vagina. I was very secure and, that was not an issue. But it became like, well, I don't think you have to text every day or you don't have to phone call each day. And then when I wouldn't then hear about that person anymore, I was like, why? And then Snapchat was probably still now a trigger for me, I'd say. Snapchat. I'm like, I just feel like, why do you need to do that? And then there's like a Snapchat streak, which is like how long you snap every day. And so all of that where I was just like, that just feels a bit unnecessary. And then there was conversations that were like very open, again, because I thought we had a great relationship. We communicated very well. So I had a few conversations about it and I said, like it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable and I don't really like it. And it was like, yeah, okay, all good, I'll back it off. And then it would amp up again and I'd have the conversation again. And then I just remember there was one day I kind of blew up and again, this is me, I was going crazy. Well, I
yeah,
thought I was going crazy. And then turning into just an insane person. Um, I would literally be like at work listening in on the baby monitor to hear them having a phone call. And I was like, who am I? Like, why am I doing that? Like, I couldn't even hear the conversation, but it was enough that I knew that they were talking and just all of that just was turned. I was like, I can't be with someone when I'm like this on the phone listening in to hear if they're talking. Um,
mm,
and yeah, it just basically, yeah, from there, I blew up one day and I just went like, it makes me feel this way and you're still doing it. Like I'm your wife and you're not even validating my feelings in this situation. I'm not saying cut her out of your life. I'm not being crazy about it, but I'm just saying like I've told you the way it makes me feel and you're doing nothing about it. And then that was a huge red flag for me. Um, and then yeah, it just kind of still continued. I think I joke now that I paved the way for it to happen because I always tried to be the cool wife. Like it was like, yeah, you can, like it's fine. Like I was so secure that I was like, yeah, it's fine. You guys can hang out. It's not an issue. And then now I'm like, why was I so cool about it? Like maybe I made that
mm.
happen, but I know I didn't. Like I did nothing wrong, but it made me think like, was I too cool? Like, was I too cool about it? Because I was trying to be the cool wife and like not have an issue. And did I pave that way? So
Love is blind though, because you can't you try and make excuses as to why that person's being who they
100%.
are.
And I was
If it was
embarrassed.
anybody else,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell my friends that like I was like, oh, because they would be like, not like what? Why are they even still like? I have friends that would say, no, if that was me, they wouldn't be talking even as friends. And so then I was like, yeah, like I don't care about like I'm okay with that. So then it was trying to pick like what I would say to someone and be like, because I'm embarrassed that I'm even having that conversation with my husband of that
mm,
this many years and having to say that, oh, he's talking to a girl at work who happens to be 8 years younger than him. And just, like, I don't know, it was embarrassing. I didn't want to tell my family. I
mm.
didn't want to tell anyone because it was just like, it's fine until it felt like until I had my proof, I didn't want anyone to kind of know because essentially I didn't know until I knew. So yeah,
And you definitely didn't pave a way. Like people have choices in their life and they can choose
100%.
to. And
Yeah,
I think people take this for granted. When you marry, it's a commitment. So you have to understand each other. You might not agree on everything,
yeah,
but you have to compensate for things. Like there
100%.
may be things.
You're a team. Yeah,
Yeah, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then I think that the other person should respect that and try to do something. And like you said, it wasn't like, I don't ever want you talking to girls.
yeah. I was like, I didn't even say, oh, cut her out of your life. It was like,
Mm,
I don't, I just. it's making me uncomfortable. And I think it was a friend that said that to me. She was like, if it's making you feel uncomfortable, then why is he still doing it? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually so rude. Like I would, if he said to me, hey, I don't like your, it could be anything. I'd be like, okay, well,
Mm.
I'll make sure that I don't do that because it's disrespecting your feelings. Like in a
Yeah.
second, it was not a non-issue. So to think that, I was not a priority in that situation, it felt like, so,
Yeah.
which obviously
Yeah. And
makes,
if your friend told you that, you would probably say, nah, that's wrong. And so if you're telling your friends that, then
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, for
And
sure.
what was the, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back for you, or what did something happen?
So, I mean, the whole story is a big mess, but basically there was a lot of mental health issues as well on his part. Now looking back, I do believe there was mental health issues, but I think a big part of that was because he was, cheating as well. So I feel like that massively messed with him. He knew he was doing the wrong thing, and I don't think he knew. Like to this day, right now, he would say he regrets it for sure. Like he would. I think if the opportunity was there, he would want to work on things. I think so. At the time when everything was kind of happening and all came about, again, the mental health stuff, but then I had had so many red flags. And when you put them all together as a whole, you're like, girl, how did you not know? But individually, these things were just like, okay, I know that. But right down to like even his phone, he changed the screen protector to one of those ones that you can't see, like like they're like invisible ones. So it's like you can only see if it's directly in front of your face. So like if someone's next to you, they can't see your screen. So it's like
Mm.
that, and then this, and then that, and then little lies that were like about nothing. Like what he ate that day, and he didn't eat that thing that day. So it's just like massive red flags that were very random. Um, but I couldn't. There was nothing that I could ever go, bam, this, like, why would you get that? Like, I would be the crazy person if I had said, why did you get that screen cover? And he'd be like, well, that was the only one they had. Like
Mm.
there was always something anything that was a red flag, there was always something for him to say. There was a reason for it. And then I would be the crazy one. So I kind of like
Yeah.
noted everything, but dismissed it because what am I going to do? And then basically, he actually essentially broke up with me. So he had said, we'd had a bit of an argument. Our daughter had been in hospital. I didn't know where he went. There was all this back and forth. That's just a big blur in my eyes now. But I think I said to him, like, where were you? And he didn't answer me. And then he just said, I'm just not in love with you anymore. And I was like, okay, like, so, like, what can I do with that information? I can't do, what do you want me to do? Like, let's go to therapy. What do you want to, like, what do you need from me? You tell me. And again, because he was struggling with mental health, I was very aware of that. So I was like, what do you need from me? And what can we do to, like, we've got a daughter, like this isn't, and we're married. This isn't just, I'm not really want to do this anymore. Like we don't have a choice. We're going to work on things. I just think you just don't give up on a marriage. You try. And then if you can't, that's fine. And in my eyes, we hadn't done any trying. You can't just go straight to, I'm not in love with you anymore without trying. And he wasn't willing to try. Um, and then basically we were split for a week. He was starting a new job. So, there was a benefit in that to help his mental health by starting a new job. And he had told me he was going out and with a friend and he was going to stay at their house. And I was like, and we weren't together, so it was fine. And I just had this feeling and I put my watch, my Apple Watch like a psycho in his car and I tracked him and it went to her house. And so straight away I was just like, that was what I needed to know that felt like, yes, I knew I was right. And I was upset, but I was also like I said before, I was like relieved. I was like, yes, I knew it. I didn't say anything. I waited. He got home the next day. The next day was Mother's Day, which was my second ever Mother's Day. And confronted him about it. And then it all kind of came out. So to be fair to him, I feel like everything I wanted to know, I asked and I got an answer for. some people will say, maybe he told me lies, because why would he not? He'd already told me lies. But I genuinely, and again, trusting my gut, I genuinely feel like everything I know now is from his mouth is the truth. And that's just based off my gut. I think before, I never really knew, and I never know the ins and outs of everything. But yeah, and like essentially it was a emotional cheating, I guess you'd say. Like there was no physical until we had split. And some people would probably say like that's not a huge deal to them. I actually kind of think it was worse for me. I think the emotional part of a relationship is huge. I remember saying like I kind of just wish he had just slept with her and then that was it, and it was just a one-time thing. That's not true either. I'm sure that actually would have been worse for me, but I just remember thinking the emotional part of it was worse because it was like he was in love with her then, and then it was like I can't. How do you, come back from that? Yeah, so found out everything, and then I'd say that was in the May, so Mother's Day, and 3 weeks later I had our house up for sale, and it was just bam, bam, bam. Like we managed to get our house ready for sale together. Like we had to paint a certain part of the wall because we'd had a dog and he'd like ruined part of the wall. So we did all that together. We moved together. We packed our whole house. I did most of it, to be fair, because he had moved out and stayed with a friend while that was happening. But we got along fine. I was just like, okay, this is the next step. This is what we have to do. He obviously wanted me back and, asked multiple times. But I just feel that action spoke louder than words, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be talking to her still and asking for me back. And it was just, yeah, I just was like, no, I'm a role model. And I think I was quite numb actually initially. And I think it was that relief of like, cool, I'm not crazy. I knew this. And now what do I have to do? And I just went into like, cool, I've got to sort this out. And yeah, our house was sold 3 weeks later. So
Wow.
yeah.
Do you think your daughter, I guess, saved you a bit in that situation?
Yeah.
Because
My dad always said that as well. He's like, I don't even know, like where you, like, I'd like to think I'm quite mentally strong, in certain situations and that, but 100%, it was like, I mean, who knows? I could have maybe even gone back there if, and back to him if I didn't have her. Because I remember him saying to me, he goes, if you not being a role model to her was not an issue, because I had said that to him, and he goes, like, if that wasn't a situation here, like, would you have me back? And I was like, I don't know. I can't say. I just feel like it's such a betrayal.
And I question as well, like your daughter, you have a kid.
Yeah. And I said that to him. I said, what would you say to her if her husband did this to her? And I think you'd be so mad, and you'd be, what would you say? So I just think, yeah, but I think massively it was like I couldn't constantly be in a heap, or, I didn't even want her to see me upset. It was like I was like, cool, I'd come home from work, I'd have to cook dinner. And again, he'd moved out, cook dinner, cook her dinner, get her to bed. And there'd be nights I was like sitting there rocking her to sleep, and I'd finally come out and get to eat my dinner at like 9:30 at night, still in my work clothes. And I remember being like, this is insane. I feel like overnight I was like I was a single mum. Obviously I had my family and my help, but like I was still living at home. So it was like I had to, until that was sold and everything, yeah, it was just overnight, like my life changed, but I had to still be a mum. So I had to, take care of her and figure out what that looked like. She wasn't even walking. I was still breastfeeding, I think, initially, because she'd just turned 1 basically when it all kind of blew up. So yeah, chaos.
Jeez, what a way to start motherhood as well for you.
Yeah, it was quite like I feel like when I look at it, and again, not that I care what people think, but for us to have been together, we were together 18 years essentially, and people would look at it and go, oh, then they had a baby and then they split, like she was 1 and we split, and I would never want her thinking that she was anything to do with it, because we were very lucky. She, and still is now, a very, very good child. Like when she was back, she would sleep 12 hours a night. We still had our alone time. We were very lucky. Like I
Mm.
remember other people being like, oh gosh, like they are struggling, they are fighting with each other. We communicated so well. I thought we were just in a very, very good place. If anything, I felt like I love him more, and I felt like he would love me more. Like we just made a baby and we were doing it, like it was, and doing it well. So it was probably more heartbreaking for the fact that, like, you should be loving me more right now, not looking elsewhere, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've had time to even process that, like what's
Yeah,
happened?
100%. Honestly, now I'm in a totally different mindset. And like there was definitely times where I was like, should I have taken him back? Like, should I have gone there? Like, should I have tried for her and like made it, I'm just like, I would have been a shell of a human. I would never have come out of that craziness. Would I have checked his phone still years later? Like, would I have been that person? And I was not that person. I could not be that person. Um,
Mm.
I think it's just, I didn't like who I was becoming at the end of our relationship. And I feel better knowing that it wasn't me. I was for a reason. It was my gut. But yeah, I just think like I hate the saying like everything happens for a reason, because like yes and no, right? But I like to think that there's a silver lining in everything that does happen. So like something bad can happen, but what's the good that came from the bad thing? And so I
Mm.
feel like my situation was I had never been on my own. I never wanted to be on my own. Like I always, because there was people that said to us, you guys have been together forever. Don't you ever want to see what else is out there? But no, like we had always said, if one of us wasn't happy, we wouldn't stay in a relationship. We were good. We were great. And so then to be in a situation then where it wasn't, yeah. But I think the silver lining from that was the fact that I had to then be on my own. When I say on my own, I ended up moving in with my mum and dad. And I honestly, that alone was, maybe that was a silver lining. I got to be at home with my mum and dad, and
Mm.
my dad was quite sick, so they got to be with my daughter and watch her kind of grow up, and I'm still there now, and it's yeah, my dad's no longer here, but I just think like maybe that was supposed to happen to me so I could be alone, figure out who I am by myself, and also move in with my mum and dad and have those last years of my dad's life with him, like back at home. And now my mum's on her own and I'm here. Like it's very, I think if that was supposed to happen to me for that silver lining, then I'd do it again in a second. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't wait for your daughter to listen back to this and yeah, hear about like how strong you are and how resilient you are. Like if you talk about role models and your parents, your daughter's going to look up to you for sure, because
Yeah, I hope so.
it's a huge decision that you had to make in your life. And
Yeah,
yeah, for you to go follow through with that, there's so many stories you hear where people will just carry on with that and just life gets really shit. So
for
yeah,
sure.
you've made a massive move in your life then. It sounds like it's definitely paid off.
Yeah, I think so. And like we are, obviously, we're in each other's lives now forever. We now co-parent and we co-parent very, very well. I expect that it will be up and down as her life goes on, but
Mm.
my ex is still with the girl that he had cheated on me with. So that was huge for me in the fact that, like that's someone that's like, there constantly, right? But again, not everything happens for a reason, but maybe they are better off. Who knows? I just try to think of things in such a not a toxic positivity way, but like in a just like what's a positive from it. Um, at first, definitely, trust me, it was not good at first. It was, I hated the sinking pit feeling in my tummy when we do the drop off and the pickup. And again, our daughter was only like 1, so she was still napping during the day, and he was staying with a friend, and it was all chaotic at first while we figured it
Mm.
all out. And I think he has massive regrets now on how he was after we'd split and how he acted towards me. You know, we were both figuring it out, but I remember thinking there was one time in particular where I just kind of blew up and everyone was like, oh, finally, like you're being too nice, you're being too kind. And I just ripped and I think it needed to happen for me to go, oh, like, and then I think there was like, he was mad at me for something. And I remember thinking, how in this situation are you mad at me? Like it just felt like, and then, yeah, I blew up and I think it was a good thing in that moment. Because since then we've worked through that and we are in such a good place. I was saying to a friend the other day, I feel so neutral, I'd say is the word. I don't have, because I've recently actually only just very recently met her, the partner. So, which obviously that's a huge deal for me. Like we're talking this
Yeah.
was years ago, and that person's in my daughter's life. So ideally I would have liked to have met her a long time ago. But I'm actually glad now that I didn't so early on because I think like it would have just been emotionally too much. And
Yeah.
now I think I don't care. I think I'm just so neutral about it. There's no love and there's no hate. Neutral is the only way I can describe it, where as if she's just a person down the road at the shops. Like I would, of course I'm going to be kind. Of course I'm not going to be nasty to that person. And then the other side is I'd like to think that maybe she could teach my daughter something I can't. So I think if I think of things like that, it's just the best way to be because then I just
Yeah.
don't have any hate in me. And like, trust me, it was a shit situation. And there's part of me that's just like, oh, I hope they crash and burn and this doesn't work out for them. But then also like, no, why not? You know, like if that's maybe they are meant to be. Who knows? It was a shit way to go about it. Um, but yeah, I just think like it's so much easier and it feels so much better to just be like kind and positive because when it wasn't like that, oh, I felt shit. I felt so shit, and the anxiety pit in your tummy, and it just wasn't worth it.
Mm.
So, and look, I'm hoping we can stay this way and how we are now. Like I said, we have her whole life to parent. I mean, if we were together, we would have disagreements on how we were parenting her as she's going to grow. So to do it now when you're separate, I can imagine it's going to be hard, but I feel like at this point we're on the same page with a lot of things and we communicate very well and it's good. So yeah, hopefully it stays
Right.
that way. But
Good
yeah,
on you for having the strength to, yeah, accept it. Because I don't think a lot of people would be able to. I really don't.
no, it's and like I mean, again, I still have friends now that like I cannot believe that you're like not okay about it, but just like that I'm like not hating it, you know? Like it's I mean, what can I do about it as well, you know? I
Do you know
could be
what the
my
biggest
daughter's
thing you've done there, Tegan, is you've moved on. And I think that's a strength in itself.
yeah, and I think that's why it's maybe a better thing that I didn't meet her early on and you know like oh god I said the other day I was like to a friend I was like the first time I remember seeing her car at his house I got out and I was like oh my god ready to drop my daughter off and I couldn't breathe properly and my hearing went and I was like oh god like this is it I'm gonna meet her and I didn't I just saw her car and I thought oh my god how can I ever see her in person if I can't even see her car and that's doing that to me. And so
Mm.
then I think that's why it's a good thing time has passed because I can now speak to her and like I said, neutral is the only way I can describe it where
Mm.
there's no hate and there's no love. It's just so neutral and I'm so fine. And it must be, yeah, because I have moved on. I'm in such a better place that I don't care. And I think, and I mean that with love, like I don't care. Like it's fine. So
Yeah, you like not in a bad way, but you don't need to care.
yeah, I
Is a
don't.
better.
And that's what I said. I said that to, you know, him as well. I was like, I don't mean this in a hateful way, but I just don't, I do not care. Like it is fine. Like,
You've
and
got
again,
bigger things to worry about, like
yeah,
running marathons.
yeah, so that's the plan.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And um, do you feel like you ever lied? Have you ever lied to yourself? Like, have you ever had to kind of fake it until you make it in your life?
Oh God, does running at the moment count? Like, if I just keep faking it. If I have all the gear and no idea, that's who I am. So, no, I don't think so. I don't. No, I wouldn't say so. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're quite a true person to yourself. Like,
I
how do
think
you
so.
deal with,
Yeah.
I'm keen on finding out, like, when that, I guess when all this happened,
Mhm.
what was it that made you move on? Do you even know? Because some people don't.
No, I don't know. I feel like I had to. I feel like no, I don't know. I got a lot. I had a lot of questions, as anyone would in that situation. I had so many questions. I feel like they were all answered. And like when people say, I think that I read somewhere where it said, like if a shark attacks you, you don't go and ask why the shark attacked you. Like it's you just heal, right? So and it's so true because it's like why like it kind of hurts more to know or to ask those questions. But
Mm.
I'm like, even if I watch a movie, I need closure. There needs to be a closure. If there's like if it's left open, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I need like the closure, a happy ending in a way. And so I feel like because I asked every question and I feel like I got the answers and I feel like they were the true answers. I think that maybe that helped me. Otherwise, I don't know. I think again, I'm a mum. I had no choice. I had to move on. I didn't start dating. I gave myself a year. I did things like I tried to write down like goals and things like that. I tried to do one brave thing a month for the whole year for 2 years. Um,
Nice.
and it was just little things like I've been to concerts by myself. I went out for dinner by myself, started dating. So, and I would take note of what those brave things were. And I feel like that was huge for me to, again, I'd never been alone. And in a way, I kind of feel sorry for him because he hasn't had that because he's gone straight into something else. And I've said that to him as well. And I've said like, I don't mean it because I think that I don't want him to be with her. I just think that if you could, you should be alone for a bit because I highly recommended it. Like it's just, I
Mm.
think I've found a whole different part of me I didn't know. And trust me, if I could have, I would have stayed in that relationship. If that didn't happen, we would have had probably another baby. And I loved my life, and so I don't look at that like I said, like I don't look at that like a failure. I loved my life. I have no regrets. Still to this day, as a divorced person, I will say my wedding was one of the best days of my life. I had we had the best time. I just think that
Mm.
that's over now. And then, so what's next? Like and again, trust me, if anyone would be watching thinking like, oh yeah, cool. Like I didn't go straight from that to this and now.
The next day.
I,
Woohoo, let's go.
I remember thinking my life is over. Like that's it. How do I carry on? And like I'm supposed to have another baby and like what this is like everything, even right down to like Christmas. I was like, how's Christmas gonna work? Like I just remember thinking like so much of my life that I thought I knew had just been completely ripped away from me. And I just remember thinking it was over. And then I changed my mindset and I was like, it's not over, it's getting started. Like I I can meet new people, I can do things, and I could have done all of those things before, but like I don't know, I think changing my mindset massively helped me. It made me
Mm.
excited for life. I was like, what can I do? What should I, within reason. I have a daughter. I can't go move to London or something, but I felt like I was in a situation where I was like, and it sounds silly, but one of the first things I remember thinking was a massive deal was making decisions by myself. Like I had not really, we were a team, we were married, so anything we would do was a decision together. And there was one time I was driving home from work and I was speaking to my brother and my mum and dad were staying at Crown for the weekend. And we were joking about going there to sneak into the swimming pool, use their key and everything. And I pulled over on the side of the road on the way home and I rang my brother and I said, I've just booked us a hotel. I said, we're going to go stay with them. And so I booked his family a room. I booked me and my daughter a room. And the fact that I could do that and not ask anyone, I still, that was like the power, like it just felt, and it sounds so silly because it's like, it's not that he controlled me or anything, but like in that moment, I just felt like I didn't have to ask permission or run it by anyone because it's the joint money, or I just made a decision and it felt so powerful. And I don't know, for other people it might seem silly, but it was just a huge thing in that moment. And then since then, I, have made decisions by myself. I mean, I'm the person who will ask everyone's opinion before I do something, but I will still make that decision by myself, and it felt powerful and I loved it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, no, it's I guess there'll always be someone who will listen to this and will have a lot of similarities and that. So I think it's a really clear message that, life isn't over when things happen. There are other things, like maybe not, like you said, maybe not a silver lining, but it's like when doors closes, there's
Yeah,
always other doors
something
opening,
else. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And it's exciting. Yeah. Even now, I'm
Mm,
like, what else? Like, it's a good thing to like look forward to things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, have you ever lost something? You mentioned your dad.
Dad, yeah. So, gosh, what even year is it now? So we lost dad 2025. Yeah, it started
Last year.
2025. Yeah, so he was battling bowel cancer. And so he was diagnosed, gosh, before I had my daughter. So I don't know how many years ago that was. Well, my daughter's now 4, but he was essentially, I guess it was over 5 years ago now, he would have been diagnosed. Um, and I had just had a miscarriage as well. So this was before I had my daughter. We'd had a miscarriage, and then started the new year. And I was like, okay, it's going to be a good new year. And then dad was diagnosed. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like he might not even see me become a mum. Like this is insane. Like it was stage 4, which obviously we were a very lucky family where I had not really lost anyone in my life, like a great granddad, but otherwise like no, like I was very lucky. We hadn't really lost many people in our life. And so to not, I felt like it was like, what does this mean? And again, because my parents are too kind, I felt like they wouldn't. I was like, you're not asking the right questions at the hospital. Like, what does this mean? And ask this. And they were just like, oh, they'll tell us. And, it just felt very like a slow process in the beginning. And then, yeah, essentially it was stage 4 bowel cancer. It ended up going to his brain and everything like that. He had brain surgery, in and out of like chemo and radiation, and 2 massive, huge operations where essentially it was completely opened up. And gosh, when he was first diagnosed, mum and dad didn't even have a will sorted. And I think that was a huge scare for my dad, when he was like, oh my gosh, like we need to, sort something like that out. Like they didn't have one. And so, yeah, but the way my dad like fought that cancer is just like so inspiring. Like always smiling, was like hardly ever, like if he was someone who, like if he had a headache, he wouldn't ever take anything. And then to then be in the point where he was like taking so much medication because he was in so much pain, it wasn't nice. But knowing that I got to be here, and I think like honestly, and he would say it, I think he lived longer because my daughter was here. Like it was just like kids just bring this like different element and like fun, and you're laughing. Like we'd have every single night after dinner, we'd have dance parties, and even though he felt so shit, he'd be up and dancing. And I think that's just the best. Like it was, yeah, but it was very hard to lose him. Again, like I'd not lost anyone in my life. So and then now I'm with my mum, and it's good. So yeah, but it's been hard. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
And you've got fond memories of your dad.
Yeah, for sure. Dad's just, yeah, the best. I feel like all of us were all very close with dad, and again, my mum and dad were still together and everything. So I just feel like the fact that I've been able to live here, like my daughter wouldn't know any different. Like she's really, we moved in when she was 1 essentially, and I just think it was the best thing for him, and he said that, and I think it was the best thing for me. And then now that he's gone, it was like it was supposed to happen so that we're here with my mum, you know, so now she's not alone and yeah, it's just been good. So again, not everything happens for a reason because what would be the reason that my dad's not here? But what's the silver lining? And I think the silver lining is definitely the fact that we're here with mum now, you know, like this was supposed to happen. So
Mm.
yeah.
Your daughter sounds, obviously I don't even know her, but she sounds so special
She's very
because
special.
she's just brought all the life into your
Yeah,
whole
for
family.
sure. I mean, she's testing me sometimes, but no, she's very, very sweet girl. Like I mean, most people I think would say that about her. She's very, and always has been very, very like smiley and very sweet. But yeah, I mean, she's definitely cheeky and has her moments. But yeah, I feel very lucky that I've got her. I think also because you know I'm in a situation now as well where I'm 36, and if we had not have had her, and I knew I wanted to be a mum, what would that look like for me now? And trying to meet someone and maybe have a baby. Whereas I feel like I'm in a great situation where if that's not in my future now, I've got her and I'm so content with that and she's great. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. And how do you find? Do you find like when obviously I don't know, are you looking for love now, or what's the
Yeah,
situation
sure.
now?
I said from the very beginning, I was like, you know, obviously once I started feeling better and it was maybe a year after we had split, I gave myself a year and then I went online dating and I still laugh because I'm like, I had